Hi, I'm Les Brown. Welcome back to So You Want to Write a Novel. It's been a while since our last episode, and I appreciate your hanging in there with me. I've been heads down finishing a book, one I've wanted to write for a long time, and today I want to tell you about it. Not so much as a commercial, but because the story of how this book came together is, I think, a genuinely useful conversation about the writing craft. It's about a kind of challenge that doesn't get talked about very much. What to do when you know your material is going to make some readers uncomfortable and you want to write about it anyway. The book is called Sycamore Boy. It's available for pre-order on Amazon right now, and it ships in a couple of months. But let me tell you where it came from. If you've read my We Are Not Saints series, you already know Tony Keating. He shows up in The Priest, The Acolyte, and The Monk. He's a gay male escort, unapologetic about it, sharp, self-possessed, and deeply loyal to the people he cares about. In the series, he's a supporting character, but he's the kind of character who walks into a scene and takes it over. My readers noticed him. And the question that kept nagging at me was, how did he get there? What turns a 14-year-old boy on a farm in rural Illinois into the man my readers met in those books? That's not a question you can answer with a flashback or a paragraph of backstory. That's a novel. And I knew it was a novel I wanted to write. So Sycamore Boy is Tony's origin story. It starts in April 1989 on a farm outside Sycamore, Illinois. Tony is almost 14. He's learned to keep his head down, do his chores, want nothing. His grandmother runs the household with a cold hand. His mother survives by not fighting back. And then a boy named Jake moves in down the road, and everything Tony thought he understood about himself comes undone. Here's where I want to talk about craft, because this is the part of writing this book that I think is most relevant to this podcast. I knew before I'd written a single word of Sycamore Boy what it was going to require. Tony's story involves gay sex. It involves sex for pay. It involves underage sex. Those aren't things I could hint at or work around if I wanted to tell his story honestly. They're the story. And that meant I was walking a tightrope from the very beginning. On one side, there's drama and honesty, writing these scenes with enough specificity that the reader feels what Tony's going through, understands the world he's in, and believes in it. On the other side, there's a line where explicit becomes gratuitous, where realism tips over into something that serves the writer's sensationalism rather than the character's truth. I was very conscious of that line. Every scene that involved sex or danger, I was asking myself, is this serving Tony's story or is it serving something else? I also knew going in that some readers would have a difficult time with this material no matter how carefully I handled it, and that others would be outright hostile to a book that treats these subjects with empathy rather than condemnation. I made my peace with that before I started writing. You can't tell a story like Tony's and please everyone. What you can do is tell it with integrity. Make every difficult scene earn its place in the narrative. Make sure nothing is there for shock value and trust your readers to meet you where the story lives. That's a challenge that comes up more often than people talk about. If you're writing fiction that deals with the harder parts of human experience, violence, addiction, abuse, sexuality, you're going to face the same tightrope. And I think the answer, at least the one I found, is to stay close to your character. If the scene is about your character, if it reveals who they are, what they're surviving, what it costs them, then it belongs in the book. If it's there because it's shocking or titillating, it doesn't. When the wrong people discover what's happening between Tony and Jake, Tony loses everything. He's forced out and sent to a boys' home in Chicago. From there, the story follows him through what I'd call his real education. Not school, but the city, the streets, the AIDS years, the people who shape him into the man my readers already know. It's a coming-of-age story, but not a simple one. Tony doesn't just grow up, he survives. And survival in this book means something complicated and real. There's also a mystery woven through the narrative, something almost in the Agatha Christie tradition, where pieces surface gradually, and the reader assembles them alongside Tony. His father died when Tony was young, and everyone called it an accident. Tony never believed that. As the years pass and details emerge slowly, one by one, the answer turns out to be far more dangerous than he imagined and far closer to home. I won't say more than that because the discovery is part of the experience. The structure of this book, weaving a mystery through a coming-of-age narrative that spans decades, was one of the harder things that I've ever built. But I think it's also the part I'm most satisfied with. And for readers who know Tony from the series, there's a particular reward in watching the pieces come together and see how this boy becomes that man. This show is called So You Want to Write a Novel, and that's still what it is. Workbench, the writing app I've been building, is still coming, and future episodes will get into that. But between now and the fall, I'm going to bring you into the world of Sycamore Boy. Not to sell you the book, though I certainly won't stop you from buying it, but to talk about the craft decisions that went into it, the characters and why they are who they are, the historical world of 1989, what it meant to be a young gay man in that moment, the structural challenges of weaving a mystery through a coming-of-age narrative, and yes, the tightrope, because I think that's a conversation worth having out loud. That's always been the point of this podcast, not just how to write a novel in the abstract, but what it's actually like to write one. Sycamore Boy is the most personal example I can give you of that process, and I'm looking forward to sharing it. The Kindle edition of Sycamore Boy is available for pre-order right now on Amazon at $4.99. The link is in the show notes. And if you subscribe to my Substack at hlesbrownauthor.substack.com, I'll send you the first 3 chapters for free. Thanks for listening. Keep writing.